It's time. You all know what that means.
We've been waiting for this day.
Okay, sorry.
We love this movie so, and not even just the movie, but just the whole like historical aspect of how like such a great tragedy it was. Not great isn't a good thing, but how like tremendous of an impact it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, then crawl out from under the rock that you've been living in.
The love I have for this movie is Titanic.
You mean the RSS Titanic? I take this shit seriously.
But also, like, there's so much history behind it, and a lot of people died, so it's really sad.
No, for real.
And so I think that James Cameron said the movie had to end the way that it did because it really was a tragedy. So there really needed to be like a heartstring pull because this was serious. And it wasn't just like a love story and everybody ended up having the, everyone had a happy ending because they didn't. Exactly. So he wanted to like showcase that the main character did not have a happy ending. And so it lives on like such a heartbreak because it truly really is one of the biggest heartbreaks. They said it was the most documented tragedy, the most documented disaster or something. Beautiful disaster or something like that.
Beautiful disaster. You got me so messed up.
Stuck in our feelings.
The most documented, especially for the time as
Looking
well.
for one good reason. I was going to say what's the next line.
I'm not partaking. Just kidding. I would have. But I actually didn't know the next line. I forgot. So I went and did something else.
Sorry. We put you on the spot.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's pretty interesting how well documented, especially for the time before there were, like, just the technology that we have now. I mean, they had cameras, but not like we have now. They didn't have, like, phones. They didn't have any kind of technology besides, like, some cameras to take pictures, which was tough to do back in 1912.
The motion pictures and the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you were saying something before about German records are really well kept.
Right, the documentary that we were just watching before, they were saying that the records that I'm assuming that we haven't kept as such, great record keeping as Germany had, which had kept them in a bunker since, through the 2 world wars, and they said that they had record evidence of the temperatures of that night in that area.
Wow. Interesting.
Because that was what he was looking for. He was looking for the conditions of what the weather was like and how cold it was. And they were like taking water during the day. I'm like telling Brianna, I'm like, why is he doing it during the day? The sun is out. Obviously it's going to be a lot colder in the middle of the night.
Yeah, when they actually froze. When
they froze to death of hypothermia. And drowned and died in freezing cold water, not during the day in the sunlight. I mean, it was still cold. They said it was 2 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
Which they said was 36 degrees Fahrenheit, but it was still obviously a lot colder at night.
That's wintertime temperature. Especially if you're on the open sea and there's no trees to block, like, there's all wind on the ocean. And
they said they were just sunbathing the whole day, so they were so shocked how cold it was and it had gotten out of nowhere. And they said it was very clear night, open sky, bright stars and everything. They saw all the stars clearly.
Well, it's still spring in the North Atlantic. Spring is really cold at night still.
Exactly.
Even in the daytime, spring is still cold. And
it's that time of day or the time of the year where it's cold in the morning, warm in the afternoon, cold at night.
Yep.
That's what we're in right now because this happened in April. That's why we're doing this episode in April.
And what they said in that little documentary that we were watching was the area that they got into when they hit the iceberg actually happened to be like a stream. It was like a cold water stream from the north.
Right.
From, what was it, Greenland?
And they said it was unprecedented. Like, it hadn't been. They said normally it's around 500 icebergs. At that time, it was 1,000.
Yeah, a lot of them had broken off that year. So it was like an especially dangerous time at sea. There was just an unusual amount of ice breakage from the glaciers, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Which is unfortunately why.
One of the main reasons why. There were apparently a lot of reasons that went into the tragedy that occurred. It wasn't just that only two guys on the crow's nest. Why are there only two men? And you have four eyes looking at the whole vast, huge ocean.
We're men. We don't need more than two.
They didn't even have binoculars.
Smell ice, can ya?
Bloody Christ.
I learned that the reaction time between them seeing the iceberg and them hitting the iceberg was 37 seconds. So they had
no time to react.
They literally had 37 seconds to tell them, hey, we see an iceberg, and for them to try to stop and turn the ship.
Yeah.
In the movie, it seemed like it was a little bit longer because
it was a movie. It was dramatic.
Suspense.
Yeah.
And apparently, if they had seen the iceberg about 30 seconds sooner, the ship might have been saved.
Maybe, yeah.
But it was so dark that humans couldn't see it out that far. It's so dark out at sea. And somebody, like, there were witness accounts that the water was very still that night, which also made it harder to see icebergs because the water wasn't breaking.
Or splashing up against it. Yeah.
Right. They said the horizon, all they can say, they couldn't see the difference between land and
sea.
Not land, well, like air.
Sea, yeah.
The sky and the sea, the stars are on the water.
And if it's still, that means the stars are going to start reflecting on the water.
Exactly.
Who knows?
And you don't know if that's actually, oh shit, that's an iceberg right ahead. Yeah. 37 seconds later.
I mean, it wasn't the people in the crow's nest's fault. They did what they could. Like, they did what people with human eyes could do.
Yeah.
They're human, yeah.
But there's only two of them on a huge ship taking care of thousands of people.
Yeah, that shouldn't have been.
Over 2,000 people, I think.
But normally you could probably see, but just that specific night, the conditions were so calm that you could not see icebergs.
Right. But they said they had reports, and they
did have reports. Like, people, like, other ships were reporting, like, hey, there's icebergs out here, be careful. And also, supposedly, if they had hit head on, they might have been saved as well, instead of trying to turn and ripping into the side of the boat. I mean, I think they just thought they could turn in time, but they couldn't.
Especially with how much the boat probably weighed, like how big it was. Like, obviously it's going to take more than 37 seconds to move that huge of a freight liner.
Yeah. Going at nearly top speed.
Yeah, that's what they said. It was at full speed ahead because they wanted to get to New York sooner than later.
They wanted to impress with the White Star Line being like the best ship line, yeah.
See what happens when you try to do too much?
Well, you're going to get your headlines there, Mr. Esme.
This ship can't sink. It's made of iron, sir. I assure you she can. And she will.
And she did.
R.I.P.
An hour? 2 at the most.
Oh.
It's been 84 years.
It's actually been 112. Like today, 2024.
Remember when the 100-year anniversary came and you and I saw it in the theaters when they like re-put it in the theaters?
That's right, we did do that.
For the 100-year anniversary.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
I'll watch Titanic like every day. For like.
I would watch Titanic every day. We're watching it right now.
Yeah, we are watching it right now. That's why we keep looking up over there. But
we're not gonna get distracted. I just want to like have it going in the background because it's like the ambiance of like the whole thing.
Gina and I also went to go see the exhibit in New York City.
I want to go to the one, like, the one that, like, looks like it. But what was it like?
We went in, not this past December, but, like, last December. We went, like, 2022. And well, first of all, the only thing that I can think about right now is how much graffiti was written all over, like, the outside of the building because of Ocean Gate at the time.
Oh.
So, yeah. Because that happened, and which was like a similar thing if we want to talk conspiracies. When we get into that with the Titanic, is like there's like similar, I feel like, conspiracies with what just happened with like Ocean Gate in the past 2 years, and then what people think happened with the Titanic.
So how was the exhibit? Like, what did you guys get to say?
There was a lot of what was it called? The Olympic, or was it the Olympia?
The Olympia.
The Olympia. There was so that's like the twin ship. Like everything that was built like in Titanic was also
that
built,
and the
like,
Carpathia.
Yeah. So since that one didn't sink, they pulled everything from that, and they were basically like, this is exactly what it would have looked like if it was on the Titanic, except for that's below water and this is above water.
So I learned that there were distinguishable differences. Those differences I don't really know, but otherwise they were pretty much exactly the same.
Right.
There were tiny little minute details that separated the Olympic and the Titanic, but otherwise most of the stuff was exactly the same. Like the rooms and the chairs and lights and
the only thing I know that was different was that the Titanic was the one that had that place where the clock where Jack and Rose met. That was actually on the Titanic.
Like that grand staircase.
Yes, but in the Olympia, it was just like, it was a different like statue or something. Like I saw like pictures online, but I don't remember every detail, but I remember that one specifically because I was like, oh wow. Like,
but other than that,
they
they
put
were
that in the movie.
They were twin ships, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Except for a couple of slight details.
There were triplets.
Oh, and the Britannic.
The Titanic.
The Britannic was the third one, I believe.
I thought Carpathia.
Carpathia was the ship that came to save them.
That's right.
But I think the Britannic, so, you know, the Olympic, Titanic, Britannic, they're the triplet ships.
Olympic.
The trip ships, if you will.
The trip ships.
So I think, you know, we all probably have some ideas. Maybe not ideas, but things that we've heard of, you know, like conspiracies and whatnot. Like, have you guys heard anything crazy about what people think actually happened to the Titanic rather than like, oh, it was just a freak accident if somebody thinks, oh, you know, this thing was sunk on purpose?
Well, I'll start right off with the one that I was just about to say. That they basically set out all like the billionaires and millionaires of the time around, and put them on a ship and sunk them and killed them on purpose.
I have the real, like, the details on that if you want to hear it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's the one that I'm super into as well.
Yes.
This conspiracy of, you know, there being important people on the ship. So we all know from the movie, if you haven't seen the movie, there was a real man named John Jacob Astor who was the richest person, not just on the ship, but in the world at the time. He was one of the richest men in the world. And he had
all the Rockefellers.
Yep, the Rockefellers, and J.P. Morgan was his competitor. The real, like the J.P. Morgan that we all know, J.P. Morgan Bank.
J.P. Morgan Chase.
Yep, exactly. So this conspiracy says that they wanted to kill John Jacob Astor. So here's what I heard. I have my notes here, so if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes.
Yeah.
But so he was the richest man in the world and on the ship at this time. He had a wife who was 18 years old and pregnant. He went through like a public divorce, whatever.
He had the money, so like...
He had the money. So the Titanic was... So people also thought like, oh, they sank the Titanic for the insurance money. I'll go over this one first because it's a little bit shorter. The Titanic was built for $7.5 million back in 19 whenever. And it was only insured for $5 million, so that wouldn't have made sense to sink it for the insurance money. They would have lost money on it.
Okay, got it.
Quite possibly.
Makes sense.
It still could have been done for that, but the conspiracy here is that J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, and some of the Vanderbilts wanted a private Federal Reserve instead of a government-run Federal Reserve, but I don't think John Jacob Astor agreed with that. And John Jacob Astor apparently owned about 40% of all mortgages and was opposed to a central bank. So, okay, here's the rest of my stuff. So, J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, and Rothschild wanted a central bank. John Jacob Astor was standing in the way of that. So, J.P. Morgan and Rothschild were supposed to be on the Titanic. They were taking a ride. For some reason, and very quietly, they decided to not go on the Titanic that morning.
That morning?
That morning, the morning of, they just decided, I'm going to not take this trip. And somehow their competitor, John Jacob Astor, was still on the ship. And he ended up dying, which meant that J.P. Morgan and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts became the wealthiest men in the world, and in 1913, in Georgia, the Federal Reserve Act was signed into law a year later.
Wow.
Kind of weird, huh?
That is crazy.
I mean, it might just all be a very strange coincidence. Maybe they just decided, oh, we don't want to take this trip because, like, maybe they had something to do. Maybe something changed. I don't know. I wasn't there, obviously, but that's, like, the largest conspiracy that people talk about when they talk about John Jacob Astor dying, and all of a sudden all these other wealthy people became more wealthy.
Yeah, to me, it's giving every, it's giving the truth comes out eventually, always. That's what it's giving.
It's just too interesting. It's like, it's too coincidental that these men,
such a coincidence.
that these men who were competitors.
No such thing as coincidence.
Yes. But, back then it's a little harder to prove these things. Now you can with different technologies, and there's like a paper trail, but back then there wasn't really any of that. They just did things quietly.
Exactly. And they had the money too, so obviously you get away with a lot more and do more powerful things the more money you have. And unfortunately, they didn't care about the lives of all thousands of these people.
Nah, they were just collateral damage.
Right.
Yep. Casualties.
Which is crazy.
Another fun, interesting thing, another thing about John Jacob Astor that I learned, which was really actually a nice thing, is that they had a dog on board, him and his wife, and his wife got on a lifeboat, and she said, "Oh, can you go let the dogs out so they're not in the kennels when the ship sinks?" So John Jacob Astor apparently went into the kennels and let all the dogs out. And 3 dogs survived the Titanic out of 12.
3 dogs
And they were
survived out of
small
12.
dogs that people could carry onto the boats. It was 2 Pomeranians and a Pekingese. And I also learned that there was a lady who had a Doberman who wouldn't leave her dog. She went down with her dog on the ship because she's like, if my dog can't come on the lifeboat, then I don't want to go either.
That is the saddest thing.
That's the saddest thing probably I've ever heard.
But John Jacob Astor, he could have, he let all these dogs out, even if they didn't survive. He was like, I don't want them to be in the cages.
Right?
He was scared.
Oh my god.
So.
You do care. Another SpongeBob reference.
He went right to heaven, that John Jacob Astor.
That's right.
I hope so.
And so did all the dogs.
All dogs go to heaven.
All dogs go to heaven.
Well, another crazy thing that I heard from the documentary we just watched was that the reason why they didn't want to put as many lifeboats on as they probably should have, because they had, half the amount of lifeboats as they did people, was because they built the ship unsinkable. Not that they claimed that it was unsinkable, but they felt from, how sturdy and how the materials that they put into building the ship were so, of good quality and, rich and, great and everything, but they also made it so that those steam boilers, that if it were able to fill up 4 of them with water and it still wouldn't have sank, but because it filled up with 5, it sank. They built the ship so that they had those boilers enough to set so that they didn't have to put as many lifeboats on, because they were not rewarded, but they were deemed better ships because they didn't have to worry about safety. So they didn't even take that into account. They're like, oh wow, this ship's so great because of how well it was built, so we don't even have to worry about. And that's why they didn't even do, I heard, a drill or anything of, God forbid something were to happen. Every time you get onto an airplane, I've never been on an airplane, but I hear every time you get on, you have to at least go through, God forbid you were to get into an accident or something. They didn't even go through a drill at all.
The first half hour on every plane is just when you sit down from boarding, they go through the entire thing about what would happen during anything. And then when you get on a cruise ship, they do the same thing. You go in your room and you do your thing, and then everybody literally has to report somewhere for your zone, and they have to go over the safety protocols too, and what would happen with all the lifeboats and everything, and all those exits. You have to know where your exits are.
Right.
All those things. They do that in everything, in every place that you have to
probably now, especially after this,
because you're traveling on a cruise ship. You're sleeping on it, but you're traveling on it.
Right.
You're traveling on an airplane, so they have to tell you how to be safe. But
exactly.
They thought that it was gonna also I'm pointing at the TV because I'm literally pointing at the Titanic ship. They thought it was gonna
Jacob
also
Fabrizio.
Fabrizio.
I'm the king
don't
of the
even get me
world.
started on Tommy. Don't
Oh
even.
my God, not Tommy.
Daddy Tommy?
Oh my God.
Not Tommy.
Daddy Tommy, Daddy Fabrizio, and Daddy Jack.
Daddy Jackie.
Which I have to say something about Jack, but continue.
I was just gonna say that they just didn't want to take. They thought that all the lifeboats were gonna take away from the beauty of the ship also because
Of course.
all of that. But also I didn't know that was the reason why too, because the beauty of the ship was like, oh, it's built so nice. Oh, all that stuff is gonna crowd it of its beauty. Yeah.
They wanted more room to be able to walk around and
impressive. It doesn't even need the safety because it's so safe. Like, oh, it's a fucking metal box in the middle of the ocean.
Exactly. And then they said the women were reluctant to get even on the lifeboats because they were like, well, why would I go out into a little measly little lifeboat in the middle of the ocean? This seems more safe. Being on the Titanic, even though it's sinking, it's bigger in the middle of the North Atlantic. I'd rather be on the bigger ship that's like warm and safe and full of people than like a dingy little boat. So that's why the first couple of boats had men on them, because they weren't going without the men. It was looked at as heroic if the man were to go.
Yeah. Yeah, like the men were actually like, no, like leading their families onto the boats, and like the women actually weren't going to go without them. It wasn't like women and children only. I don't know where they got that from. Maybe it's just for the movie, but...
Well, I think eventually they did have to do... No, they did eventually have to do women and children only.
Okay. Yeah, they have notes. I don't. Hee hee.
Well, you're going to learn today, girl.
I'm learning today. I have these notes right here.
Yeah.
These notes are right
I mean, after how many years we've done Titanic, oh my God, the freaking MySpace page, we were dedicated to Titanic.
Yep.
We were obsessed. We knew a lot through the years and trivia and things just because we're obsessed. Not even just with the movie. It's just, like I said, it's just such an iconic piece of history. Like, I still can't believe that they let that happen. It's just so sad that at the time that it was, the shortage of technology really hit.
We actually do trivia at my job like every Thursday, and so I think that one of the trivias that was recently on there was Titanic. The movie Titanic is always number one. I mean, not it's always like number 3 or 4 or 5 like every single year. Avatar is always like up there too, and which is also James Cameron, which he's obviously a legend. If he created literally like Titanic, and then he did that like in the perfect time, and he said that he didn't want to create Avatar until way later when CGI got better, because he didn't want to be like made a joke of what Avatar was supposed to be. And thank God he waited, because he was right. But he's like, it would have been just blue people running around painted, and it wouldn't have looked like it was supposed to look. But anyway, this, and then obviously Guardians of the Galaxy is like the number 1 movie also. Yeah. That movie's like always number 1 now. But
you can see that James Cameron put like a lot of thought and dedication and time and into these movies. That's why he did like how many dives? Like 20 or it was either 20 something or 50 something. I can't remember.
I wanted to be a director. I wanted to really be a director back in the day, so I really used to really like James Cameron, because I liked his strategy of work, where he was like coming out with bangers but like not often, and kind of like Quentin Tarantino is like in the same way does that, but he does it in a really, really different way. Let's just say that. Everyone has their style. Of course. He's not everyone's particular favorite most of the time, but...
How not? Quentin Tarantino is because
of the type of person he is. Yeah. Like, but his movies are great, but his...
Right. Hello?
I think someone just fell and they're gonna come through the ceiling.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay. From the outside. I like that part more than the other side.
I also heard another conspiracy, but I don't know how true this one is. It's a lesser known one, but Daddy Tommy.
Wait, I just need to say, since we just did that with Adele, first of all, why was that not the perfect time to say "Rolling in the Deep"? Titanic. Ocean, rolling in the deep. We could have had it. All right, sorry.
Are you making a joke about the people who died?
No.
No. Are we not paying attention to Daddy Tommy?
Tommy, Daddy Fabrizio, and Daddy Jack. Oh, you said you were going to say something about Jack before. I just remembered.
Did you guys know that there was a Jay Dawson on board?
I did not know that.
Was it actually a Jay Dawson, except the name was Joseph?
Joseph Dawson.
His name was Joseph, and he worked in the boiler room. Unfortunately, he passed and he's buried in Vancouver. But after the movie, everyone started putting flowers at his grave, thinking it was actually Jack Dawson.
Oh, they remembered Jay Dawson. Well, that's at least nice for Jay Dawson.
Joseph Dawson.
He
Was there a rose due to be catered?
I didn't see anything about a rose, but I did see that there was a love story on the ship. Sorry, let me grab my notes here. Ida and Isidore Strauss.
Yep.
Drowned, unfortunately. They were first-class passengers. Isidore refused to get on a lifeboat when there were still women and children on board, and Ida refused to leave him.
Ida and Isidore. Huh.
So there was a true love story on the boat, and they died together.
While tragic,
Very
their
tragic.
love still prevailed.
Their love lives on.
My heart
I think there is an
go
Ida.
on and on.
I think they mention an Ida and Isidore Strauss maybe in the movie.
I think
Possibly.
so. Maybe.
Very shortly.
It might have been that old couple who
Yeah.
died together in bed crying and holding each other.
I know what ice fishing is.
I know what ice fishing is.
You seemed more like an indoor girl. Funny. The girl slipped so suddenly and you had time to remove your coat and your shoes.
Interesting.
Maybe he should mind his own business.
Right? I mean, he was like what were they called back in the day?
He was like a
He's like
PI.
a bodyguard or some shit. I don't
No,
even
he
know
was
how to
like the
even-
constable.
Constable! He was the chief of police. He was the constable.
Whatever.
The constable.
Whatever. What did I call him?
I don't remember.
I called him a PI. I was like a private investigator.
Okay, so what else was there? Oh, okay, so the one other thing that I heard that could have possibly been part of the reason that they unfortunately didn't get to see the iceberg was that there was a man, his name was David Blair, who resigned the last minute, and he resigned last minute from, working on the Titanic, and he kept a key that was a key to the crow's nest, what was it? Locker that held binoculars, so that's why the people in the crow's nest didn't actually have binoculars.
It's
to be able to
David
see.
Blair's fault?
It's David Blair's fault.
David Blair.
But also, why didn't the other people have binoculars?
I said what I said.
There's not more than one pair of binoculars on the ship?
Well, he had the key to the locker that held them in the crow's nest.
Why can't they all just have them?
I don't know. I wasn't there
Cassie.
112 years ago.
Why didn't they have them?
You know what?
Why don't you go look that up?
I don't know what to tell
That
you.
just perfectly went like this too, perfectly.
Can I have that back? I think there's something else I can just
Why am I even giving it back to you right now? I don't even know.
David Blair, I hope all of you
Go
and
f- myself, I
descendants-
guess.
David Blair and his descendants are cursed.
Yeah.
Which is another thing I have to say.
Wow.
Did you read this?
No!
What are you doing to me?
I curse you and all of your descendants.
Stop talking.
Stop giving it away. I'm giving it away. You're spoiling it.
Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this movie yet, it's a pretty
Spoiled
good
it.
movie.
Spoiler alert, a lot of
Spoiled
people
it.
die.
What?
Every time I would watch this movie at home, my brother would be like, they all die at the end. And I'm like, well, he would actually say that about every movie, though. Even if it was like Shrek, he'd be like, they all die at the end. And I'm like, okay, thanks. But he would say that about this one. I'm like, they're not going to die this time.
They're not gonna die this time. I know. I always watch this movie
Maybe.
Maybe Jack won't die this time.
Stop. We'll talk about that after because this is
Yes,
kind of
please.
silly,
I
but we
know.
do have something to say.
We're gonna
wanna
talk about
know.
the door.
Don't you dare start now. This is a whole ass debate. Okay, hold
Let's
on.
go.
We're working our way up because this is that was the grand one of all. You know what? I'm not gonna tell you now. I'm not telling you now. You'll never know.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Alright.
I'm not.
Are you sorry?
I'm sorry.
You better
Say you're
be.
sorry.
Okay, so they thought that the ship was cursed because there was a mummy on board. There was a mummy on board. An Egyptian princess was moving into a museum in New York. So they thought the ship could have possibly been cursed from the mummy.
That I didn't know. There was a straight up real dead Egyptian mummy.
Egyptian princess.
Oh, hell.
How
We
did
should have
they
known they were going to die.
know that? How do we know that now? Where did you find that information?
I don't know.
Did the mummy go down with the ship?
It's from like the dark
Yes.
web.
I don't even know if that was a reputable
mummy
site.
go
I
down
probably
with
should have
the
Snopes that or something,
She
but
floated to the top
Oh, God.
and put a curse on the ocean.
what else happened?
I didn't know about the mummy.
I did not know about the mummy.
And the band played until the end.
They
we all know
did.
that. They played Nearer My God to Thee, which
Yeah.
I guess is like a testament to
They
like...
all went down with the ship.
Didn't you know more about that, actually?
There were 6 members of the band, not 4, like the movie said.
Like not a quartet.
Yeah, and they were most of them were younger. Like in the movie, they kind of had
They kinda
them
look
as
like older men,
But a
yeah.
lot of them were actually quite young in the band. I think a lot of them were just teenagers or in their 20s.
God.
There might have been a couple of them that were more mature, like the cello player possibly.
yeah, wasn't there like
Yeah.
a real young one?
Yeah, but there were a few that were really young. But there was 6 members of the band, and they did all go down with the ship.
Oh.
They really did play.
They're like, I was just here to play the cello. How come I have to die?
I didn't sign up for this. This isn't my job description.
I was just here to play music.
Were they gonna go to New York and play more music?
Probably. Who knows?
Or maybe they were bought to
going
be
to
on
New
the
York.
ship. Maybe they were like the ship's entertainment. Maybe they were going to be, like a cruise ship where they have entertainment.
I was just gonna say it's probably
Oh,
like a
true.
cruise ship that travels with the ship, because apparently this was like not even just like a cruise to some people. Like this was just like you were saying earlier, like for businessmen traveling.
Yeah.
So that's why they had like
People were moving their entire lives from
Some of 'em.
like just to start a new life. So some people had their entire lives with them on that ship.
exactly
Yeah.
like coming to Ellis Island for the first time.
And some people just like wanted to like go to New York, or some people like really wanted to like, start a new life, so they brought literally all they had with them.
And some of them were just traveling on business. That's why they had these routes planned out, all these different boats going back and forth, because that was way before airplanes. They didn't have that yet. So they had nothing else but boats. So
Yeah.
they were just traveling just to like going back and forth from London to New York, just like any other Tuesday.
Yep. And they just wanted to go a little bit faster this time, and they
Because this was supposed to be like the grandest ship in the world. Like,
making its maiden voyage. Its only voyage.
that's grim.
Oop.
Oh.
I mean, I think airplanes were being made, like the Wright brothers.
I was going to say the Wright brothers.
But I think there were only those like 1 or 2-seater planes at this point, like those propeller planes that you had to.
Not like a
Not a
Boeing
giant
757.
Boeing. Yeah, like,
Boeing.
Like an exact plane.
Boeing.
there were small ways to fly around, but there weren't like giant passenger planes yet. So
There was probably hot air balloons.
yeah, hot air balloons.
For like 2, maybe 3 people.
Yeah, but I don't exactly remember. I didn't look that up, but I think the Wright brothers. It was like the early 1900s or the late 1800s that they started looking into aircraft, like trying to fly.
Wow, we have a lot. But either way, we have to.
We have to talk
into
about the door.
What do you
We gotta
guys
talk
think?
about the door.
All right, time to get into it.
Didn't Mythbusters do this? Did you see the Mythbusters?
Yes,
episode?
unfortunately forgot exactly which we rewatched that, but I don't remember what they did. I just know what I think. But let me hear what
So-
you guys.
I think Mythbusters said that they wouldn't have been able to both fit on the door.
Mythbusters
Exactly.
said they would have been able to fit on the door, but they would have been in water,
Right.
which would have killed them both because the water
Exactly.
was freezing.
Because of the weight of the 2 people on the door, they would have both been submerged in water.
Like it would have been like quite a few inches in the water, which would have made no point because
They would have died of hypothermia
they would have
either
died
way.
from hypothermia faster with the water than in the air.
I think they should have taken turns, and them moving in the water, going back and forth, would have like regulated their body temperature. Why didn't they think of that?
Well, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, what if they just like took turns and like, but I know he was
Again,
being
like
a
you said,
gentleman.
Like you said earlier, it had to end the way it did. But yeah, he wanted to be a gentleman.
I mean, you'll die very fast in that water, that cold.
I'm
Apparently it
surprised
feels
she
like
even
1,000
lasted as
knives.
long as she did, not being in the water, but just in the cold ass air, and just just not like. Did she get hypothermia at all? You know what I'm saying?
She probably did.
Yeah.
Realistically, she was in the water for a while, and then she got on the boat. But when she got on the door, she was still wet.
Wet with that cold ass air.
Oh,
like.
And all your clothes are wet on your soaking wet body.
Like crystallizing into ice, yeah.
Her hair was crystallizing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
she couldn't even speak. She couldn't even yell anymore. Throat was all, messed up. Who knows? Yeah, like, who knows what really happened out there, for real. I mean, I can only imagine it was just like that, but probably worse.
Do you still have that necklace I gave you that looks like the heart
I
of the
do,
ocean?
but we just
like
packed everything up at my mom's,
yeah.
so it's more like, where is it? I know I have it, but it's like more like, where is it?
Like when we pretended to play Titanic when we were kids, because we thought that was fun to pretend like we were gonna drown.
We went to Deb when Deb was still like a clothing store in the mall.
I miss Deb.
Yeah, and we bought. I know, right? When I said
loved
Deb, and then we went to Deb and we bought like the long yellow dress with rose on the top of the deck.
You had a yellow one, which is this one when her and Jack are walking on the deck,
where she like sees his art
his art book for the first time,
his sketchbook,
and the red dress.
We bought the red dress, where she slips and falls outside.
We just watched that part.
Slips and falls in the beginning. We got there was a blue dress involved, but I don't remember why.
Because of the part when she's like, I can't see you anymore, and he was like, you're amazing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
It's like, you're amazing.
Yeah.
Why do we know this movie so well? So sad. This is just sad. Look how beautiful they both are. They're both in the prime. They're prime.
They were both in their prime in this movie. Absolutely.
Let's also just say that
even though she's older than him,
Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio are still very good friends.
They are actually like best friends. Actually, yeah.
They love each other like so much.
This bonded them like forever.
Like they are like the best of friends who still are the best of friends. But I think in real life she's 10 years older than him, I believe.
Yeah.
But she looks so good. I mean, look at her beautiful porcelain skin.
I know.
Her hair is just perfect, and she's not even like a redhead.
No, but she looks like a natural redhead. Like, they made her look so beautiful.
Yeah.
I know. I love her with the red hair.
I have one more random theory, again, that I don't know if it's true or not, but I found it anyway, so I wanted to just say it.
And then I guess we'll go into our theories about the door.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we were talking about it. Well, I think that
sums it, right? I mean,
that pretty much summed it up. Like,
we made us do this big thing, but I'm just so butthurt about it, just because like everyone says, they could have survived. No, I don't really think they could have.
I don't really know that they could have.
Mythbusters literally debunked it and said like, okay, yes, they might have been able to both fit on the door, but they still would have been submerged in some water.
Yeah,
exactly.
And they both would have lost the leg. And then what's...
Yeah. They both
would have lost the leg. And then what are you going to do about that?
Yeah, they both would have had to ride the horse together. So, because they both would have fell off without a leg. Because he told her what? He told her
to have both
No, he told her, I want you to...
leg on both sides.
Go ride a horse. Not that side saddle shit, he said to her, right? Like,
yep. She's like, so like one leg on both sides? Can you show me?
Can you show me?
He's like, sure.
So, I mean, like, what? If she didn't have two legs, she would have been side saddling forever.
Cal wouldn't want to.
What is wrong with you?
So sorry to like everybody like out there watching who maybe doesn't have a limb. It's just someone who doesn't have a limb. I'm not making fun of you.
Cal probably wouldn't have wanted a woman with one leg.
Cal was like the worst person ever. Sorry, yes, Brittany, who used to play Cal.
Brittany used to play Cal. I don't know why.
Because no one else wanted to be Cal. She wanted to be involved, so we let Brittany be Cal. Love you, Brittany.
What about the unsinkable Molly Brown?
I love Molly Brown.
Yes.
Shut that hole in your face. I love that part.
That's your men out there.
It's your men out there.
What's the matter with you? That's your men out there.
What's the matter with you?
Well, wait, what did Cal say again? You said the first part with the diamond.
Yes.
Oh, he's like, I hope you'll enjoy your time together.
No, the first part.
No, the first part.
I put the diamond in the coat. And I put the coat on her.
I put the coat on her.
Well, before he said that, he was like, I hope you'll enjoy your time together. And then he started laughing.
Oh, then he starts laughing
and
like a
his
psycho.
little cop friend was like, what could possibly be funny at a time like this?
That's right.
I put the diamond in the coat.
And I put the coat on her.
And like, how great of the writing it was that like we totally forgot about that until the end. Plot twist.
Yeah, it
Plot
was
twist.
and the plot thickened.
Like how crazy it went from that part to the end when when Jack died. Like you totally forgot about that.
They were like literally going in slow motion though. I don't know how many shots he shot at them. They were like in slow motion in the water. Like how fucking messed up was he that he couldn't even shoot them? They weren't even going that fast.
Right.
He was just a bad shot.
They're also all panicky, like I get
Yeah.
it. If that was a real scene, I mean, like there was a
Right?
lot going on. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot going on.
You're like in a sinking ship. The love of not love, I
the
guess.
love of your life is being whisked away by a steerage passenger.
Well, and Cal was about to get on the boat, and then he's like, "Oh, damn her to hell," because he just couldn't stand the fact that she chose a steerage passenger over him. He could not. He was like his masculinity was fragile.
He hit her like twice.
You're like a whore to a gutter rat. Well, I'd rather be his whore than your wife.
Damn.
I'd rather be his whore than your wife.
She's all I have left in this world.
Mic drop.
She's all I have left in this world.
He tries to get on with the little child onto the.
And then he gets on the boat. He's like, "Here, take her."
Yeah.
Gives her away to somebody already. Like, what an a-hole.
So
She's all I have in the world.
Yes.
the one other small conspiracy theory before I forget that I have is somebody said that the hole in the ship, when it hit the iceberg, somebody said that the hole was actually blown outward, which wouldn't make sense if it got cut. So if it got cut, it would be inward. So somebody said they think that it wasn't the iceberg that sunk the ship, but rather an explosion.
That even plays into your theory from earlier even better.
Like the planned...
Or what if the iceberg happened too, but what if it maybe was the side that something was on it that exploded?
Yeah, maybe the iceberg, maybe
Hit
it did
something
hit the iceberg, but
and then
maybe
exploded.
That's true too. Maybe that happened.
So maybe it just was literally a recipe for disaster.
Because the people on the ship, the eyewitnesses did say that there was ice on the ship, so the ship did hit the iceberg.
It did hit the iceberg. What if it hit the iceberg right where something was right behind it and it exploded it and then it blew out and then all that water just sucked in?
Or they used
like
the
a
iceberg,
vacuum.
Or they used the iceberg as like a ploy. Like,
Right.
we hit an iceberg, but really it was an explosion. Because they didn't want to scare people into there's an explosion on the ship.
And then imagine,
Right.
you remember too when everybody was like, what was that noise? So
Yeah.
imagine.
Somebody said they thought they heard an explosion.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is true. Obviously, it's so long now, and that part of the ship is under bunch of mud at the bottom of the sea now.
Yeah.
But
Literally stuck in that mud. No one's ever seeing that.
Unfortunately, in the next few years, it's going to be completely disintegrated.
that's really sad to me.
Yeah.
That's so sad. But at least
Just wash away with the ocean? Are we going to be swimming in metal? Like, what the fuck?
well, it's all rust.
Well, it's all
basically
gone now.
eaten
It's
away.
eaten, gone now, I guess. But still, that's what it.
And there's
literally
nothing we
reminds
can
me
do
of.
about it because you can't even move that ship because A, it's sunken into so much mud, and B, if you even tried to move it at this point, it would just disintegrate.
Yeah.
You can't even touch it; it's so fragile.
Yeah, it would totally disintegrate. But you know what? How fast do you think it was going towards the bottom of the ocean?
Pretty
How
fast.
heavy?
Pretty
is
fast. It
that?
was probably heavy.
How heavy is that thing where it was literally just falling and falling and falling and I don't know, the pressure of it down there. Surprised that it even looks the way it does down there.
Right.
But it was already broken by the time it got down there. It's not like it was a submarine, and it was it already had pockets filled with water. It wasn't like there was any I mean, if there was a pocket not filled with water, it was gonna be by the time it got down to the bottom. Let's just say that.
I also believe from 1912, it took them another 57 years to have the technology to even try to go down and find it. I think it was 57 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they said 1985.
Yeah. As soon as I saw you starting to go, I kept going.
Or 67 years, would that make it 1985?
I don't know. Who has a calculator?
Well, then it was something like 63 years.
1912, 1985. So 73.
73 years.
I can only do math on my hands.
57.
That's too many numbers for my hands.
So that's when they found where it was in 1985.
1985.
Maybe the information I got was wrong. But either way, it was a long time after the ship sank because they just did not have the technology to go and find it. They knew the area where it would be in, but they just couldn't go down and see. So finally, I guess in 85...
They know more about the outer space than they do the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Like...
That's scary.
I'm scared.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I had to get that out.
No, I didn't have much else to say about that. I knew that it was many years later that they found the Titanic under the water. They were probably super excited. And it's so dark down there.
Yeah.
Without the proper lighting, you can't see anything. So they probably had
Right.
to have, like, mad cameras and lights down there searching around until they're like, wait.
Yeah, I wonder how long that really actually took to find. Wow.
Like that submarine that exploded in the middle of the ocean not too long ago.
Yeah, like
Last
Ocean
year?
Gate 2 years ago. Well, two
Was it 2
summers
years ago?
ago.
2 summers ago? Wow, I thought it was like literally just last year.
Yeah, I thought it was this past year.
Mm,
I thought it was, like, summer 2023.
I don't think so.
But yeah, the Titanic must not have been as deep as where they were. No, they weren't. Weren't they doing an expedition for Titanic?
I don't know. Oh, the
Titan or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody paid $250,000. $250,000 a head to go down there.
Was it last year? I don't think it was, but
I
it
thought
could
it
have
was
been.
2023.
It could be, but I feel like it was way longer ago. Further in the past? I think it was more... whatever.
Anyway, it was within a year or two ago.
Yeah.
But yes, the Titan went down there. I mean, I can't speak on how it was constructed, but obviously I don't think it was constructed too well. Because
Obviously.
it imploded. And if it did implode the way that we all think that it did, I mean, we only have theories, we don't actually know. But apparently it would have happened so fast at the depth that they were at that they wouldn't have even known what happened.
Right.
Like, the way your brain processes pain,
It
it's
takes
slower.
a few like milliseconds
Yeah.
to.
Them exploding was even faster than that.
I just feel like they just made up a bunch of billionaires and put them down there, and then I don't even know if any of that shit was real, basically. Like, I really don't know what they're doing and why, but they want to go down in the ocean and they want to see stuff for some reason. It's really scary because there's so many other conspiracies about the ocean. Like, is the ocean the portal to space? Does the ocean really have the abyss down
I've heard
there?
about that.
What's down there? You know, like, is there aliens down there? Basically, like, oceans, what's it called? The dolphins turn into mermaids. You know, like, there's, like, so many fucking conspiracies about the ocean. And I was like, who's even heard of these billionaires before Ocean Gate? Nobody's heard of these massive... I mean, not everybody's heard of every rich person on... Like, not everyone who's rich is famous. But...
Right.
Like, come on. Like, it was just giving that with John Jacob Astor, with the whole gonna try to kill somebody on a ship and, like, put rich people in the same place and then, like, kill them. That's kind of like what Ocean Gate was, like, giving for me. We, like, put all rich people in the same place and kill them for a reason unbeknownst to us.
Unbeknownst.
Unbeknownst to us, there's something going on. There's
There's always something going on
That's
when
like
you're
a-
too rich.
some-
When you that rich.
yeah, like, there's a distraction for something going on bigger. Like, everything is, there's always a deeper meaning to what's going on. There's always something that,
Oh, yeah.
that we're not gonna know that happened, and that's why something a big tragedy happened, probably because other big movements happened.
Exactly.
And that's why now we have a tragedy. So, thanks everyone.
So thanks for that.
So thanks everyone for all that.
I mean, don't have the rich... Like, the rich don't come after me, but I just believe that if you become that rich, there was some kind of something involved. Like, I don't know how you can get that rich without being involved in something that's not really good. Maybe that's just my opinion.
Unless you're just, like, born into it. Maybe she's born with it.
Well, if you were also born into it,
maybe it's Maybelline.
Who knows what happened for that family to have that kind of old money? Like, what did they do to have all that old money? There's old money and there's new money.
Would you rather be old money or new money?
I feel like old money has a lot of... I don't know.
I feel like your status is already there if you have old money.
Yeah.
And there's a lot expected of you.
Exactly. There's a lot more, like, riding on your shoulders and a lot more to, like...
Really, I was going to say, I feel like as a new money, I feel like you have more to prove to the old money people.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like.
I feel like old money don't like new money.
Yeah. Old money don't like new money, that's for sure.
Right.
But it's also, like, that's a weird thing, too, because it's like, what, only you guys are allowed to be rich and nobody else could be rich?
Gatekeeping.
Yeah, it's like gatekeeping
the riches.
Wealth.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably true. I mean, obviously, we are not rich, so we don't know, but I guarantee you there's a lot of gatekeeping in the wealth world, in the financial world.
Oh, absolutely.
The rich keep getting richer somehow.
I'm sure there's, like, you know, at the country club or something, and they're like, oh, they came into some money or something, and they're like, keep them away from, like, the people that have been there a long time. Like, I'm sure there's, like, cliques.
I don't know that I'd want to be a part of that anyway. It seems very stuffy.
Of course.
While it does seem really nice, I mean, I'm sure the amenities are very nice to being rich like that.
And also the risks. The risks of all that money. There's a lot of risk with a lot of money too. Like,
exactly.
Now you gotta watch your back all the time. Not like you shouldn't be watching your back all the time anyway.
But if you got money and people know it.
Oh yeah.
With more
now
money,
you got a target on your back.
More responsibility.
Yeah.
More money, more problems. I keep saying that one.
That's true. That is true. I don't know what I would do.
I would buy my problems. I'd buy solutions to my problems. If I had that money, if I had that kind of money again, I would definitely be spending more money to help fix my problems. Like the problems that I have now that I feel like I can fix. I could probably fix them with money, honestly. Like I need a car. There's a few things that I actually really could use from the money, but obviously money doesn't fix everything. That's for sure.
No, it doesn't fix everything, but it could definitely help.
It would help, for sure. I'm never going to say it's not going to help me, but it wouldn't fix everything.
Here.
Here.
Which I've said before in the podcast, and that's from Titanic as well, when Jack's like...
It's actually right here.
When
he's doing his make it count speech.
Yeah, when Rose is like...
Oh, they just did that.
Count.
Yeah, to making it count.
And he's like, here.
Yeah.
One other thing that we need to talk about is the eclipse yesterday. No,
That's
2 days
right.
ago. 2 days ago.
No, it was yesterday.
Yesterday.
It was yesterday.
When this comes out, it'll be in a week, but...
I don't remember what day it is at any given time.
I never know what day it is ever. It's okay.
It was yesterday, and I went to upstate New York to go see what was almost the total eclipse. It was very, very damn close to the total eclipse. It happened around 2 something, almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it looked like nighttime. And it was there. It was the moon was in front of the sun for like quite a few minutes.
Wow.
I had the eclipse glasses, but we didn't really need them because there were a lot of clouds in front of the sun, and we were worried that we wouldn't be able to see it. But I think the reason why we were able to see it, first of all, the clouds kind of separated just a tiny bit, and second of all, when the moon goes in front of the sun, it almost like the part that it's not blocking looks brighter.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, you know how it goes when like there's something in front of something. It's almost like the glow is even brighter, like on the outside.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think
The
that's
haze
what
around
happened.
it or whatever it was called.
So we could barely see the sun, but as soon as like the moon started to go in front of it, you could see it now all of a sudden. So I think the radiation of light you could see even more because of the contrast behind the clouds, which was really interesting. It was really creepy just being like nighttime outside in the middle of the day, and then like as fast as it happened, it was over.
Right.
And then Bella chose Edward.
Yeah, not to spoil it for you, but in Eclipse, Bella chooses Edward.
Right. But yeah, that was fun yesterday. I took my little pics. I saw your little pics. We took our little pics.
Yep.
Yeah.
They didn't have 100% totality or anything close like that, but I was pretty close.
It was pretty close. I mean, luckily they were able to let us out at work. We had like a little like field trip. Mm-hmm. And I got everyone, me and this other kid in the class, because we could only get like a 12-pack on Amazon. So we each got a 12-pack, so everyone had glasses in our class. And we all went out, and we didn't even need it because of the clouds, obviously. But it was just enough. It kind of looked like a toenail clipping.
The great toenail clipping.
The great toenail clipping of 2024.
Yes.
And
great toenail clipping of 2024.
That was cool. But no, I didn't even need the glasses. It was like too dark to even see with the glasses. I'm so mad. A little disappointed. I couldn't see anything. But
I saw some things. I saw like it looked like a crescent moon.
it looked like a crescent moon, but it
Yeah.
was like a crescent sun.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Really cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff. I don't know. I'm excited for it to come around again. I know it's supposed to be a really long time, but
Yeah, in 20 years, hopefully we'll be around.
Hopefully there'll be like another another one, maybe like in another part of the world. Maybe we could fucking travel to it, you know, like.
Right, because you were able to go to upstate New York to see, and it was near close to totality.
Like, just because it's not coming again for 20 years in the United States doesn't mean it's not going to be in like Antarctica or somewhere else.
You want to travel to Antarctica?
I'll travel anywhere to see the solar eclipse. That'd be cool. Be a solar chaser.
A solar chaser.
A solar eclipse chaser. But I know somebody who does that, and she actually went to Antarctica. That's why I said that.
Oh, that's really cool.
Really cool. She was like all over the place. I met her in LA, but she was like all over the world to go see she's been in like in so many different countries just for the eclipse, she said.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, she's got money to do that, but
again,
yeah,
must be nice to have money.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you go and you see an eclipse, and I'm sure it's like really interesting to be around like, you know, different places, and you eat different food, watch the solar eclipse, go back home like the next day. You could literally just do like a 2 or 3 day trip out of it. It doesn't have to be a big trip. You're just literally going to see something that's going to last like 5 minutes.
Right.
So, and it's free to see.
And it's free to see. Except for the glasses.
Yeah.
Just keep your glasses.
But yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
Well,
this has been real. It has been fun, but it hasn't been real fun.
But
happy Titanic Day on April 12th. Well, April 14th will be 112 years. So rest in peace to all the 700 and some odd souls.
Yeah, the ship might have sank.
1,500, 700 people were saved. 1,500 people.
The ship sank, but my love will never.
Your love will go on. My heart
on.
will go on and on. Da 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 da.
The spotlight is on me.
I see the spotlight.
Da 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 da.
Mother, Mary, and Joseph.
It's okay, I'ma choose you
It gets
anyway.
harder every time.
I swear to God.
It's complicated, but we've been here for way too long. And I hope it's worth the wait. Because with you, it's
Celebrate!